My fault. I went back to my mom's house this morning after staying at my dad's. Both my parents are divorced, so they trade me weekly. Like I'm some sort of asset both of them share. But I'm accustomed to it now. Shifting weekly from one house to another isn't a problem anymore, as I have a luxurious life in both places. One good thing my mom did was ask for alimony money from my dad, which was half of his wealth. Ha, what a smart and cunning move, I thought then. My friend David called to tell me about the party he is hosting tonight before he leaves for college. Yeah, everyone's life is changing, including mine, as we all are kids of millionaires who want us to forward their businesses. They don't care about what we'd really want to be. I immediately agreed to go to the party, as I pretty much live for the nights and days I have to party. I have met some of the amazing people in my life at parties, which motivates me to always go there. And by amazing people, I mean people who are great in bed. I don't really remember anything else apart from it about them. My parents are too busy to bother about where I am and who I am with, which gives me the perfect time to enjoy my life and sexuality. Thus, they don't really know that I am gay, but not like I care, even if they knew. It was 9 p.m. when I arrived at Barley's, one of the most popular clubs for its DJ, which is something close to my heart, but still, don't know how. I was walking towards my friends and I met a few people, some who I already slept with and some who I would be sleeping with probably. I highly believe in enjoying my life and having fun as much as I want, unlike my father, who works in his office day and night, which probably made mom leave him. I met David and Richard, my childhood friends who know everything about me, with whom I have had plenty of experience of trying alcohol, cigarettes, and even some soft drugs. We are all the same, except they know what they want to be in the future, and I still haven't figured it out. Maybe because my father has made the decision for me already. This party is dope, I screamed, and everyone took shots. I turned to the side, noticing a boy sitting alone, having a drink which had an umbrella. It made me laugh and at the same time made me admire his beauty. He has an innocent look on his face, his hair slightly falling on his forehead. He has a sharp jawline and honestly looks great. I smirked looking at him and took advantage of him sitting alone. I walked towards him and started the conversation. Hey, I'm Peter Hose. Hey, I'm Kevin Tos. Why are you sitting alone? I asked him. And he told me how some of his new hostel mates forced him to tag along with them. And now here he is, sitting and sipping some sort of childish drink. After a little conversation, I asked him to dance with me, to which he soon agreed. We kept our glasses and moved towards the dance floor. He slowly and awkwardly started dancing as I kept making him move. The distance between us started reducing as I was talking to him, moving closer and closer because of the loud music. I just have my ways with boys. I was already tipsy, which gave me more rush and freeness. I placed my hands on his waist and to my surprise, he didn't move them. Are you into boys? I asked him and he nodded, smiling. With the sway of the music and alcohol rushing my blood, heating my body, I got needier. Without wasting another second, I pressed my lips against his, shoving my tongue right in his mouth, which I could feel him enjoying. With the same passion and heat, he kissed me back. We made our way to the VIP room, where I asked him if he wanted to sleep with me. He immediately nodded. We undressed each other and continued kissing until we landed on the sofa, and he was on top of me. That was one of the best one-night stands I ever had. Another week passed by with a bunch of friends, clubs, a lot of alcohol, and a lot of sexual experiences. This is what I call a life. My university was about to start in 2 days, and my father called me to stay with him so he could give me some life lessons and tell me more about Brookfield University, which he went to as well. I didn't mind either of my parents' company, cause anyways, most of the time goes out. I got up as Melda, my maid, entered my room to wake me up for the first day of university. I got ready and sat in my dad's car as he wanted to drop me. I reached there and saw Richard, my only friend who will be studying with me as others left for other countries. I can't wait to go home already, I told Richard, and he laughed. As we were walking, I noticed a familiar face, but I couldn't remember who it was. I left the thought there itself and moved to my class, but the thought that followed me made me think again and again whose face it was. No matter how hard I tried, I was not able to remember. When Richard asked where my mind was, I said that I saw someone familiar, but I was not able to recall, to which he said, "Must be one of the boys," and we both laughed at that. Days passed by and college was getting even more boring. It sucked because in college my parties reduced more and more. I was standing in the canteen sneaking some beer in mine and my friend's drinks until I felt a tap on my shoulders and turned back. There was the mystery face again. May I help you?" I asked him, confused. "I'm Kevin Tos, remember?" He replied, and honestly I felt bad because I did not remember anyone with his name. "I'm from Barley's. We had a drink, we danced and moved to a VIP," he continued saying, but I shushed him in the middle, getting embarrassed. He asked me to come to the side and told me some surprising things, like how he kept thinking about me the entire time, and how amazing the night was, to which I agreed, yet I don't know if I felt something as strong as he did. Not too late, he confessed to me, leaving me in a complete shock. He said he likes me and wants to date me, so pleasantly, yet my feet froze and I couldn't say a word. "I'm sorry, I have to go," I said, and I left him there, standing alone. That entire day, his word echoed in my head, and even made me smile, but there was something that pulled me back, which didn't allow me to reciprocate his feelings. It was another morning, another day, but same thoughts from yesterday. I kept them aside for a moment and got ready for college. When I reached and started parking my car, I noticed a figure leaving on the gate. On moving forward a little, I noticed it was Kevin. I immediately turned and started walking away from him. He realized it was me and called out my name a few times, but I didn't turn and moved away. This went on for days, where I would hide myself from him, even though he never crossed the line or approached me in a bad way, yet I was too scared to face him. But eventually, he caught me alone, standing in the boys' locker room, and came to me. This time I couldn't run or hide. I did like to see his beautiful face every day, and it would make me wonder where he is on the days I didn't see him. He came closer and said, "Finally, I found you. Look, I know what I said the other day was too sudden, but you can just tell me you don't like me back, and I will move aside. I will never follow you around. But don't leave me hanging in the middle of a yes or no. One thing I know is that my feelings for you are real, and we will make the best couple out here." He finished his sentence, making me rethink every word, and it was true. I too started enjoying having a person following me around, and it made me feel special. "Yes," I said. His mouth was open. He asked what I meant, and I told him that it was a yes, and that I'm ready to give dating a chance. I told him it's my first relationship, so to not expect much from me, to which he happily agreed and kissed me. I can't believe I'm officially dating. I wasn't sure how to let his news out in public, so I decided to keep it a secret for a while, and asked Kevin to cooperate with me. He said he is so in love with me that he wouldn't mind anything as long as I'm with him. His words gave me a lot of sensations in my stomach. There have been many men who made me feel different things sexually, but Kevin is the first one to make me feel something from the heart. I felt happy after a very long time. I kissed him one last time before we went out. We even exchanged numbers after the end of college, and I came back to my mom's place. It was her turn to tell the world that she has a kid and what a great mother she is. I went to my room feeling a bit tired yet excited and popped on my bed. My eyes were closing slowly until my phone beeping, revealing a text from my new boyfriend, which immediately brought a smile to my face. The text said, "Do you want to go to Barley's tonight?" I smiled and typed yes. My tiredness faded. I wore my favorite black t-shirt with a pair of jeans and pulled out my Jordans I got from my dad. I was all ready to go when my mom asked where I was going this late. I gave her an excuse that I have some work with Richard, and I left. I saw Kevin at the entrance in a white t-shirt and blue jeans, making him glow in the dark. White shirts are specifically my weakness, so he got me there. I greeted him and he pecked my cheek softly, making me flushed. I gently pushed him away, thinking people outside may see. We went in and moved towards the bar automatically, which made both of us laugh. I noticed myself genuinely laughing a lot today. We ordered drinks, and this time I ordered my favorite margarita for him. The alcohol pushed us to the dance floor, opening the old memories for both of us. Without wasting any minute, I kissed him. "Come with me," Kevin said, taking us out of the club. I asked him where we were going, and he kept quiet. He booked an Uber, and in 10 minutes we were standing outside his room. It was a small rented place, but it looked neat. Unlike my room, his room felt more comfortable with dim lights. "We don't have to hook up in some bar now. We're dating, so our place should work better for us now," he said, making me chuckle. "We surely don't. I guess we found our cave." The sweet moment turned into a steamy one as we started making out. We moved towards the bed and he started undressing me. He gently started kissing my body and made eye contacts, which sent chills down my spine. The night continued with a lot of lustful events, and without realizing, I fell asleep on his arms. I woke up the next morning feeling a strong gaze and looked at Kevin staring at me. I smiled and said, "What?" He said nothing and gently kissed my lips. It was a sweet morning until we both saw the time and started rushing for college. He passed on his fresh t-shirt to me, which was a little loose on me, but smelled just like him. We ran outside his room and booked an Uber. I parted ways with him when I reached after pecking his lips on the cab. Days went by with the same routine of us secretly meeting in college or meeting at his house. I felt the happiest these days. One day, Kevin came to me and told me he got a job he was eagerly looking for. I didn't realize he needed a job. If I see now, I don't really know much about him, so we sat down one night and spoke about his life and why he started working even though college is already hectic. He at first felt a little embarrassed, but eventually opened up to me. He told me his family conditions and that he needs to earn for his own living. That's why he got the job. It made me realize how life for everyone is different. Something I haven't thought much about is I was surrounded by people who lived well off, their dad's money including myself. Are you feeling ashamed of something, Peter? He asked, making my face frown. No, absolutely not. In fact, I'm proud of you for being so courageous. I wouldn't be able to do half of what you're doing. Just know I'm with you, okay? For anything you need. I told him to make him feel comfortable around me. My life was coming on track and I was getting more organized, I felt. Even my mom told me that I am focusing on college more than clubbing. I don't know how to feel about it because I still don't have my life figured out like others. I just know I'm not interested in learning business like my dad wants me to. Kevin is a good thing that happened to me, with who I feel more like myself, but lately, there's something off between us. Day by day, with his work pressure growing, the distance between us is growing as well. Our everyday meetup changed into weekly meetup, where most of the time he feels tired because of work, but I can't ask him to leave his work knowing his situation. I simply started accepting that part, thinking it might just be a phase and everything will go fine. But I was wrong. The distance between us kept growing, making me crave for him more and more, both mentally and physically, which made me do something I will regret my whole life. Last night, I caught up with some friends who invited me to the bar. I was feeling low and out for myself, so I agreed to go so I can feel like I used to, a free person, not binded by anything or anyone. As I entered the club, I missed the feeling of being a lousy boy who had nothing to care about. My friends and I started playing games and having shots. I was 4 shots down and got to dare to kiss a boy. I felt hesitant at first, knowing it didn't feel right, but with the distance between me and Kevin and decreasing conversation, something gave me a push to kiss the boy sitting next to me, which later that night led us to make out on the corner of the bar. He tried to unzip my pants, but I held his hand and paused for a moment. A sudden realization hit me of how wrong I was, and I left the room there immediately. That night I was unable to sleep in guilt. I know I've caused irreversible damage, which I cannot undo, but what I can do is confront him. I didn't think any further and grabbed my keys. It was nearly 5 in the morning, but I couldn't care less. I reached his building and rushed towards that room. He opened the door after a few knocks, looking confused. Why are you here so early? Is everything all right? He asked, making me sob a bit. He pulled me inside, but before it was any late, I sat him down and told him everything. The moment I told him, he left the room and went away. My knees went weak, making me fall down on the ground, and I cried hard that time. After a while, the door flung open, revealing him. He came inside and sat on his bed. I held his legs and started asking for forgiveness, but his face was blank. What he said next shook me. Okay, I forgive you, he said, but I will need some time. After that, I left. 2 years later, no matter how hard I tried, Kevin kept saying he still needed more time, but I couldn't complain. The blame of ruining a possible perfect relationship is on me completely. After running around him for months, he finally gave me a closure, saying it's better that we break up. It was a hard call, but I took it as well, and ever since then I decided to move on. God surely had other plans in his mind. I was at an engagement party of one of my friends, where many people from college came, but the person I least expected to see standing in front of me, my heart started racing faster and faster. I felt like I would fall any moment, so I turned around to get him out of my sight, and soon I left the place for a while. This engagement, moving out together, opening our offices, and many more dreams we saw together, which was crushed by me. I still didn't understand why he forgave me after all of that, even though it didn't work out, yet he made sure I didn't feel guilty because of him. When I returned back, it was already a dinner party. My eyes automatically widened around to find his presence, but he was nowhere to be found. My friend called out my name and offered me to sit, and not to my luck, my name was next to his. It's like the universe was playing around with me. I sat down and minutes later he joined me. He looked normal, as if my presence had no effect on him. The dinner was quiet between us, neither of us shared a glance. Also at each other, and he kept ourselves invested with others, even though my heart rate never went normal, and I kept having flashbacks of our good days. I cannot regret cheating on him enough. After that day I never stepped foot in the bar, barely drank alcohol, and just focused on myself, regretting the past every day. No one from the past would be able to tell that I am the same person. After dinner ended and everyone was leaving, I felt a light grip on my arm. As I turned, I found Kevin standing behind me. Can we talk for a second? He asked, and my head automatically nodded. We moved to the side and I stayed quiet for a while. Then he came closer and said that he still wasn't over me. I couldn't recognize the feeling inside me. I didn't know if I was happy hearing that, as I would still do anything to be with this man standing in front of me, but I was not able to understand how it is possible for him to say that, even when I cheated on him. I slightly nodded my head and told him that I still think of him too. I asked him finally what made him forgive me, but why did he keep running away after forgiving me? He took a deep breath and made me sit. He started telling me about his past relationship with his ex, and about how even he complained about Kevin not giving him enough time, as he was bound by a lot of responsibilities. Then too, he decided that it was best for them to break up. So when I told him that we got so distant, it sent him into the past, and he felt too guilty to face me as well. But he was also heartbroken when I told him what happened at the club. He knew then only that we might not work out, as he is still not well established, and I, being a rich brat, might never understand that. He didn't want to bring his poor side to the front of me or the world, as he was too embarrassed, so he decided it's better to forgive me now and end it on good terms. However, we ended the relationship in our mind, but our hearts still wanted each other. After listening to him opening his heart to me for the first time, I felt what an ass I was to not understand all of it when the time was right. I'm so sorry, Kevin. I should have known better and been a better boyfriend to you. I told him, hoping for him to forgive me again. No, it's not your fault. It's the way I am, but you finally made me say all these things to you, he replied as he held my hands. We looked at each other and cried together for the first time. Should we give this another chance? Kevin asked. Yes, 100 times yes. There is also something I want for both of us, he asked me in a serious tone. What is it? I'm willing to do anything, Kev. I want us both to take couples counseling. But why? I asked him, a bit confused, as I thought everything is fine now. Peter, we might be grown-ups now, and I think of it as a fresh or new relationship. But as individuals, we still have things to work on, so we cannot hurt each other in the future. That did make a lot of sense, so I agreed to him. He told me he knows a friend who can connect us with a good counselor. We held hands after long, and walked out of the place together and went straight to his place like old times, except this time he didn't live in a room, but in an apartment, which suited his personality perfectly. It made me feel happy for him. Kevin asked me to promise him that if I feel distant from him, then I will tell him immediately. In 2 days, we found a therapist that Kevin's friend suggested and went there. Our session started with us telling about our lives and how we grew up, and I got to know things about him that I never knew before. His struggles and how strong he must be to come this far. As kids, we also shared a common dream of being a footballer, which made both of us laugh. I just prayed that when we leave this room, we will overcome our differences. As I moved forward, the topic led to my parents' divorce, and I told him how everything between them changed, and they decided to take divorce when I was still young. Mr. Div, our counselor, then told me the reason why I was scared of relationships and never wanted to date was because I was scared of betrayal, and I was worried that what happened with my parents will happen to me too, so I closed the door and never allowed anyone in. But I failed to keep it closed when Kevin arrived in my life. Looks like Kevin fulfilled his purpose of letting me know that I can love and be loved. Being scared of betrayal and the thought of Kevin leaving me first ate me so much that it led me to distance myself from Kevin and cheat on him, even though there is no behavior or excuse for that. Still, Kevin considered this reason genuinely. By the end of our session, we opened many gem doors and looked beyond, but things here started to change. We realized that no matter how hard we try, we still have differences and won't be able to change that. Which also made us realize that coming together like this was a good way to get closure from each other as well. Both Kevin and I had our hopes up of meeting each other again and making every wrong disappear. Partially, it did come true, but with a different ending. Div gave us light upon who we really are, and maybe we both still live 2 different lives. He left us in the room to think about who is ready to sacrifice and change the future, considering our current lives. It took me a lot to come to where I am today, Kevin said, and I agreed. But I also remember the struggles I went through to tell my dad that I won't work in his company, instead work for music. I had to bear a lot of shame, and I was kicked out of the house too. And for the first time, I was glad that my parents got divorced, and my mom still owns the place. So ever since then, I've been living with her. It was just not about a career, but how we changed from our past. This therapy session together did work for us, but also gave us a bitter truth that no matter how hard we try, or how much we force love, sometimes we need to let it go and move on. This time when we met, it was a lesson learned which taught us both the value we hold today. This turned different than we imagined, Kevin said. Yeah, but it makes so much sense. So this is it? I asked, as I wanted to hear it clearly. I guess this is it, Kevin replied, and we both had tears in our eyes. But this is it as boyfriends and boyfriends, not as friends. I would still want to be with you, in whatever way, healthier, Kevin continued. I nodded and hugged him tightly. We left the building and took a small walk. So now what? I asked him. Now we both grow towards our dreams. I'm opening my first restaurant in Boston, he told me with a subtle voice. What? I had no idea. That's crazy. You always spoke about owning a restaurant, and it's finally happening. I was excited and so happy for him. Yeah, and I want you to visit on the first day. You have to come. Of course I will. What about you, Peter? Oh, I actually left my dad's company almost a year ago. I followed my heart, how you taught me, and it led me towards music. I sent a few music drafts to the companies, but I'm waiting to hear from them. I told them feeling a bit embarrassed by the fact that I'm pretty much jobless. Peter, I'm happy for you. I knew you're not the suit and case and deal sort of person. You always had a free mind, and there is nothing as good as music that will always make you free from the world, he said. And he was so right about it. It was time for us to stop our walk together, forever. We bid our goodbyes to each other and decided to stay in touch. Conclusion. Kevin invited Peter to his newly opened restaurant, but not only as a friend, but also a known performer. Peter became a big name in the music industry and was happy that he took a bold decision of leaving his family wealth. He somewhere thanked Kevin for bringing his strength in him. Both Kevin and Peter met at a restaurant, but this time not alone. Kevin already found his partner who shared similar goals as him, and complemented both his personal and professional life. As for Peter, he found his love in music, which led him to meet Matthew, another growing name in the music industry. They decided to share a stage to give something to their fans, and their fandom grew stronger. They soon became a hot topic for paparazzi. Peter took Matthew to Kevin's restaurant, which was already growing well. Finally, both Peter and Kevin looked happy and satisfied, and told each other that it was a good decision because this is the closest they have felt to each other in a genuine relationship of friendship. Do you think Peter and Kevin should have continued dating? Hit like and subscribe for more such stories. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of a rainbow force and stay wholesome.